everyone, what's up? Welcome back. It's Kat, your favorite ginger bibliophile. So I hope you're all doing really well, and I hope you're in the mood for something a little creepy because we've got another entry into Edgar Allan Poe's Complete Tales. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the bookish fun. Or, all the cute animals, because every Wednesday I gotta try to get you through the week with a cute little animal or something. Might be cats, might be my pups. If outside's playing nice, you might get to see some cute bunnies. And then I was thinking about reading you a different tale today, and then I actually gave it a little, sneak peek, and half of it was in French, which, even if I could understand it, no, that just was not going to work. I'm pretty sure even native French speakers would not understand, because I would probably butcher it since I haven't taken French class since, 7th grade. So, I found another tale that was short, because also that one I couldn't completely keep, it looked like it might have potential, what little I could understand of it, but the title had omelet in the name. I just can't take it serious when it's, essentially Duke of Omelet. So we've got another one that's also fairly short that hopefully is a little bit more on the creepy side. It's Silence, a Fable. So it's only a couple pages, so we'll see. Maybe I will actually manage to get through this one without getting tongue-tied. And yes, this is bright colored, but I promise I'm setting the scene. You gotta go a little creepy. I mean, I've got my Nevermore Raven back here. We gotta have some fun with it, right? So, and these always start with a little something before the thing, so before we get into the story. So, let's see what we got today. I'm not even gonna try to do that top one, because it looks like it might be Russian or something, and I can't stumble that one through with mnemonics. I don't know what half of that is. But the English underneath is the mountain pinnacles slumber, valleys, crags, and caves are silent. So, nice and creepy already a little bit. Listen to me, said the demon, as he placed his hand upon my head. The region of which I speak is a dreary region in Libya, by the borders of the river Zaire, and there is no quiet there, nor silence. The waters of the river have a saffron and sickly hue, and they flow not onwards to the sea, but palpitate forever and forever beneath the red eye of the sun, with a tumultuous and convulsive motion. For many miles on either side of the river's oozy bed is a pale desert of gigantic water lilies. They sigh one into the other in that solitude, and stretch towards the heavens with their long, ghastly necks, and nod to and fro in their everlasting heads. And there is an indistinct murmur which cometh out from among them like the rushing of subterranean water, and they sigh one unto the other. But there is a boundary to the realm, a boundary of the dark, horrible, lofty forest. There, like the waves about the Hebrides, the low underwood is agitated continually. But there is no wind throughout the heaven, and the tall, primeval trees rock eternally hither and thither with a crashing and a mighty sound. And from their high summits, one by one, drop everlasting dews. And at the roots, strange, poisonous flowers lie, writhing in perturbed slumber. And overhead, with a rustling and loud noise, the gray clouds rush westwardly forever, until they roll, a cataract, over the fiery wall of the horizon. But there is no wind throughout the heaven. By the shores of the river Zaire, there is neither quiet nor silence. Definitely atmospheric. It was night, and the rain fell and falling. It was rain, but having fallen, it was blood. Now there's the Edgar Allan Poe would come looking for. And I stood in the morass among the tall lilies, and the rain fell upon my head, and the lilies sighed one into the other, and the solemnity, I don't know how the heck to say that one, of their desolation. And all at once the moon arose through the thin, ghastly mist, and was crimson in color, and mine eyes fell upon a huge gray rock, which stood by the shore of the river, and was lighted by the light of the moon, and the rock was gray and ghastly and tall, and the rock was gray. Upon its front were characters engraven in the stone, and I walked through the morass of water lilies until I came close into the shore, that I might read the characters upon the stone. But I could not decipher them, and I was going back into the morass when the moon shone with a fuller red, and I turned and looked again upon the rock, upon the characters, and the characters were desolation. And I looked upwards, and there stood upon a man upon the summit of the rock, and I hid myself among the water lilies, that I might discover the actions of the man. And the man was tall and stately in form, and wrapped up from his shoulders to his feet in the toga of old Rome, and the outlines of his figure were indistinct, but his features were the features of a deity. For the mantle of the night, and of the mist, and of the moon, and of the dew, had left uncovered the features of his face, and his brow was lofty with thought, his eye wild with care, and in the few furrows upon his cheek I read the fables of sorrow and weariness and disgust with mankind, and the longing after solitude. Can't say I blame him there sometimes. And the man sat upon the rock, and leaned his head upon his hand, and looked out upon the desolation. He looked down into the low, unquiet shrubbery, and up into the tall, primeval trees, and up higher at the rustling heaven, and into the crimson moon. And I lay close within shelter of the lilies, and observed the actions of the man. The man trembled in the solitude, but the night waned, and he sat upon the rock. And the man turned his attention from the heaven, and looked out upon the dreary river's air, and upon the yellow ghastly waters, and upon the pale legions of the water lilies. And the man listened to the sighs of the water lilies, and to the murmur that came up from among them. And I lay close within my covert, and observed the actions of the man. And the man trembled in the solitude. But the night waned, and he sat upon the rock. Then I went down into the recesses of the morass, and waded afar from in among the wilderness of the lilies, and called unto the hippopotami which dwelt among the fens and the recesses of the morass. And the hippopotami heard my call, and came with the behemoth unto the foot of the rock, and roared loudly and fearfully beneath the moon. And I lay close within my covert, and observed the actions of the man. And the man trembled in solitude, but the night waned, and he sat upon the rock. Then I cursed the elements with the curse of tumult, and a frightful tempest gathered in the heavens, where, before, there had been no wind. And the heaven became livid with violence of the tempest, and the rain beat upon the head of the man, and the floods of the river came down, and the river was tormented into foam. The water lilies shrieked within their beds, and the forest crumbled before the wind, and the thunder rolled, and the lightning fell, and the rock rocked to its foundation. And I lay close within my covert, and observed the actions of the man. The man trembled in solitude, but the night waned, and he sat upon the rock. Then I grew angry and cursed, with the curse of silence, the river, and the lilies, and the wind, and the forest, and the heaven, and the thunder, and the sighs of the water lilies, and they became accursed, and were still. And the moon ceased to totter upon its pathway to heaven, and the thunder died away, and the lightning did not flash, and the clouds hung motionless, and the waters sunk to their level and remained, and the trees ceased to rock, and the water lilies sighed no more, and the murmur was heard no longer from among them, nor any shadow of sound throughout the vast, illimitable desert. And I looked upon the characters in the rock, and they were changed, and the characters were silence. And mine eyes fell upon the countenance of the man, and his countenance was wan with terror. And hurriedly he raised his head from his hand and stood forth upon the rock and listened. But there was no voice throughout the vast, illimitable desert, and the characters upon the rock were silence. The man shuddered and turned his face away and fled afar off in haste, so that I beheld him no more. Well, okay, that wasn't quite as creepy as I was hoping for, but it does paint a, very atmospheric kind of strange picture, and I do like the whole raining blood thing. I was waiting for him to, like, fall down dead or, cursing's like, oh, you're gonna mess with me? Well, guess what? I'm the devil and I'll get you back. But maybe next time. Hopefully you enjoyed that anyway. If not, I will post some playlists down below with some of the other stories I have read from this. Or if you just need some book reviews or, want some Grimm tales, because I love me some fairy tales, I will link those all down below, and I will see you soon. Bye! Happy reading!